KATC Weather Lab. Here's Rob's forecast.
Welcome back. Well, the heat is going to be on. This is likely going to be the hottest weekend of the entire summer. Here we are almost pushing into the second week of September, and we will be seeing temperatures in the upper 90s. Back-to-back days. We saw that today. We saw it yesterday, tomorrow, and Sunday as well. Meanwhile, tropics getting a little bit better for the U.S., but a little bit worse now for Canada, believe it or not. We'll talk a little bit more about Dorian and the rest of the tropics coming up in just a bit. Here's a live shot coming out of the Northside Vikings, where the Northside's playing Southside Vikings against Sharks. There is a joke in there somewhere, but I'm going to just move on. Notice the clear skies, and that's what we're going to see again tomorrow. Few clouds during the day, but by this time in the evening, those clouds really scour out and the dry air takes over. So let's take a look. First off, this is the best picture of the day. We have Dorian moving away from the U.S. coastline, and here's the eye wall. It's pretty far away now, beyond radar range. You can kind of see that circle right there, but notice some tropical rains reaching portions of New England, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, up through the Cape Cod area, and they have tropical storm warnings there. Meanwhile, across our part of the world, plain old hot and dry. This ridge of high pressure has been dominating and expanding all the way to the east coast, so that dry air covering much of the region. In fact, nary a cloud to be found within about 700 or 800 miles of Lafayette, and that is quite unusual. Meanwhile, as we look at Dorian officially making landfall on the outer banks of North Carolina. U.S. was very lucky with this system in spite of the storm surges and the winds and some of the damage. Nothing compared to what we saw in the Bahamas. And notice on the satellite imagery, National Hurricane Center actually saying this is getting better organized. It is hauling, though, moving at a quick clip right now, and it may have a hard time getting up to what is forecast to be a Category 2 status right now. 90-mile-per-hour winds, but expected to get back up to 100-mile-an-hour winds overnight tonight through tomorrow, and hitting Nova Scotia and Halifax as a 100-mile-an-hour storm. That's going to do a lot of damage, and I haven't looked at the records, but quite unusual for anything maybe above a Category 1 striking Nova Scotia. And this one is going to be Cat 2, and then eventually moving through the Canadian Maritimes and then into the North Atlantic. Elsewhere across the tropics, things have quieted down a little bit. We have Dorian, Gabrielle out here. It will eventually become a hurricane, but this one's going to curl out and head toward Europe. One tropical system that we are watching is a wave that's south of the Cabo Verde Islands. Hurricane Center gives us about a 70% chance of development as it moves westward, and this is one of those Cabo Verde systems that we have to keep an eye on. This one right here, just a little bit of a tropical wave, just a 10% chance of developing over the next 5 days. But Dorian kind of looked like a little bit of a tropical wave, looked like nothing for a couple of days, and then got better and better organized. And sometimes we don't see these very well, and the models don't forecast them very well. The European model capturing what could be a tropical depression down the line as we get into early next week, but we have days to watch it. We'll just have to watch these green areas. Notice still relatively dry into early next week, but then some tropical moisture tries to poke into the region mid next week, and then we'll be watching a tropical wave about a week from today across the Bahamas. That will be moving into the Gulf. That could add to our rain chances as we go into next weekend, but overall a relatively quiet and hot pattern for Acadiana. Temperatures, high temperatures tomorrow, upper 90s reaching 102 in Alexandria and 100 in Leesville in the Fort Polk area, and then we get to the I-10 corridor. 97, 98 degrees will be the common high temperature tomorrow, and mid to upper 90s along the coast as well, so very uncomfortable indeed. Fortunately, with the dew points in the afternoon not being too terribly high, we're seeing these heat indices about 104 to 107 peak for tomorrow afternoon. Then we go into Sunday. The model's thinking we're going to see more clouds and slightly lower dew points into the upper 60s, so we'll see if we'll get those high heat indices, but right now we're not forecasting it to be in heat advisory criteria, but that could change. And again, those high heat indices kicking in near 100 from 11 a.m. till about 7 o'clock in the evening. Prime time is during the afternoon when that sun will be working overtime, but we've also had some haze, and that has limited some of the heat as well, believe it or not. 75 your low tonight, so a quiet night ahead with clear skies and the quarter moon out there. More high summer heat tomorrow, getting up to 98 for a high. high, very light winds. And if you're going to be tailgating tomorrow, hats, sunblock, shorts, the whole 9 yards for hot weather for sure. Tailgating temperatures between 92 and 98. Game time temperatures starting in the lower 90s but dropping into the mid 80s. And again, full sun out there, so hats and sunblock for sure. And go Ragin' Cajuns. We're expecting a win for tomorrow. Temperatures in the 90s for the entire 10-day forecast, but slight rain chances coming in for the middle part of next week and perhaps next weekend, the latter part of next weekend as well. But overall, temperatures staying well above normal for the time of the year. That should be 91 and 73, and we get close to that in about 9 or 10 days overall.
That's the only relief we see for now, huh?
For now, yes, sir.
All right. Thanks, Rob.